Regina Caeli.
Greetings, salvete to my listeners of the Latin Prayer Podcast. This episode is just an update. Many people have been emailing me asking me if I'm still continuing with this podcast. Several have made requests for prayers, and I've been responding to all of you one by one. I just figured I'd better make just an update episode to bring you guys up to speed with what's going on, what's been going on, where the podcast is going, what my plans are, and so on and so forth. So first off, I hope you all enjoyed the last episode, the Regina Caeli, sung by yours truly. I spent 10 years doing music at a Novus Ordo parish. We'll talk about that at another time. That's a whole other story. But I want to do more of that because there's no shortage of Latin chant to learn, and gosh, it's beautiful, it's easy, and it's such a great way to begin to teach people Latin because the melody just it invades you without asking permission. It's beautiful. Also, it's 11:30 at night. So bear with me if I'm not completely cohesive. I just finished recording the first of 12 encyclicals of Pope Leo XIII on the Rosary. So I'm going to be releasing that episode hopefully sometime later this week. I am traveling, so I'm hoping to get it fully edited and then published probably by the beginning of next week. So let's just go into some quick history of how the podcast came to be and where we're going with it. This podcast, you got to understand, started off as a way for me to teach myself to say the Rosary in Latin. I wanted to be able to pray it daily and to be able to keep up with it. And, like most people, I would end up putting it off till the end of the day, or it would be an afterthought. And then by the time I got around to it, it would be late at night, and then I would fall asleep, and so on. And when I saw what was going on in the church, I saw the evil, the infiltration that was taking place. I started to pay attention to this, and it just frustrated me and bothered me. But what bothered me the most was I was so disgusted with my inability to do so little, which was to say a rosary every day. Just pray. I couldn't do it. And I needed a way to hack it. I needed a way to make it easy for me to pray. And so that's why I said, well, I can't really find a podcast that I like listening to. It's not my style. There's too much fluff. There's too much ethereal music going on in the background that just, distracts me, or the pacing is wrong. So I figured, hey, what the heck? I'll just record it for myself and then publish it, and if people find it useful, then great, so be it, and if no one else finds it useful, no biggie, because it was for me anyway. And oh my, how many of you have latched onto it? I mean, I realized for the first time how small I am and how large the church is. Let me just give you an update here. The podcast has been downloaded well over 30,000 times, but, I'm just here looking at some of the statistics. We have about 100 people, 100 individuals praying the rosary every day through the podcast. I can't believe it. That's insane to me. I can't believe that actually happened. And where are all these people from? I can take a look at, let's see here, all of the countries we're in. Let's see here. We're well over 200 countries now. United States, Canada, the UK, Philippines, Australia, Japan, Singapore, Brazil, Malaysia, Mexico, Germany, Guam, Spain, Sweden, Poland, Qatar, Italy, Paraguay, Finland, Ireland, Hong Kong, Costa Rica, Ecuador, the United Arab Emirates, Croatia, Norway, Peru, etc., etc. We've got listeners all over the place, and this is cool. This is in the universal language of the church, in Latin. And, so, I mean, I'm just blown away. I'm humbled by it, and I want to do more. It's grown without really any effort on my part, beyond my expectations, and I want to help us fight. At the request of a listener who's become a good friend, I'm currently in the process of re-recording the Rosary, beginning to end, particularly as a teaching tool with call and response for all of the mysteries. And the plan is to make it available to parishes and to prayer groups and to schools as a teaching tool so that we can help these communities rediscover the beauty of Latin in the church and to equip them in their battles against the dark forces. And it made me, a few people have been asking me, but why in Latin? Why in Latin? Well, simply put, Latin, I was doing a bit of research to try and figure out, just to make sure that I wasn't making stuff up here. But there are a lot of, if you look at the language of law, there's actually a lot of Latin legal terms. I was wondering why that was. It's because for, I guess, almost 1,000 years, Latin was the language of formal records and statutes, and it was only replaced by English much, much later on, I think in 1730. But up till 1730, Latin was the language of law. And you're not going to find a creature more legalistic than a demon. The demons hate Latin because it means precisely what it says. You can't get it wrong. And being that it's a universal language, even though you and I may be separated by countries and space and our individual languages, the vernacular, Latin, when we speak it together, we all mean the same thing. And that's powerful. There's no mix-up. There's no getting it wrong. I mean, let's face it. The times that we're living in demand a response worthy of a Catholic. And when I say Catholic, I mean the church militant, us here, striving to be saints here, not just in heaven, not one day, hopefully we get there. No, no, no. God has designed, He's put us into this moment in time. From all eternity, He has brought us to this moment in time where we get to fight. I'm reminded of that line in the gospel that our blessed Lord says, "The kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force." We're at war here, and we need to go all out. And I want to finish with a quote which I put in the show notes of the Regina Caeli. This is by Pope St. Pius X. He said, "If there were 1 million families praying the Rosary every day, the entire world would be saved." Listen to that again. If there were 1 million families praying the Rosary every day, the entire world would be saved. I used to think that, well, maybe he was limited by the technology of his time, but we're not. How much more can we do? How much can we help, even if it's just with our prayer? Powerful, efficacious, useful, and necessary for our own salvation and sanctification, for our own protection and that of our families. How fitting that we could pray the Rosary and that we could, as God allows us to participate in creation, how fitting for us to be able to have a hand in our own salvation, sanctification, and that of others. So continue to pray for me and pray for the Latin Prayer Podcast. There's more coming. The encyclicals of Pope Leo XIII are coming. I'm gonna. My goal is to be able to record one of those. They're quite lengthy, but to record one of them every couple of weeks and to publish it. And of course, to start working in chant and to be able to get the Rosary re-recorded. I actually have it re-recorded. I'm in post-production now. I'm probably going to make that available for purchase as a teaching tool through Amazon or Patreon or some other platform where you can get everything specifically as a teaching tool. But I will update beginning to end the Rosary so someone can hit play, if they're in the middle of work and they want to pray during their day, or if they're going on a run or a workout or something like that, or at night and they don't want to be going from one episode to the next to be able to try to fit the entire Rosary together. You should be able to just go from beginning to end. It's coming. Be patient with me. Continue to pray for me and my family, and know that I am praying for all of you. Feel free to reach out to me via email if you've got questions or if you want to make a request for future episodes. Or even if you just want to drop me a line, find me on social media. Twitter is the best place to reach me for the Latin Prayer Podcast. My handle is at Dylan Drago, DYLANDREGO. You'll get notifications on Twitter when I post a new episode. They get posted there first, and you can reshare them. You could, push it to people on Instagram or people on Facebook. Let's see if we can take this thing from 100 families or 100 individuals praying every day to 1,000,000. God love you.
Regina Caeli, Laeta